right, welcome everybody. This is Tom Randall from Goldencare. Want to welcome you to our webinar today as part of our Integrity Short-Term Care initiative that we're doing. And I've got my partner in crime, as always, Dennis Reiner here, which Dennis has worked in this field with me for years and years. I've been 27 years here at Goldencare, and Dennis, I've had the privilege and honor of working right side by side with Dennis through all of those years, just about, if not all of them. So Dennis, go ahead and say hi if you'd like to.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us this afternoon for this GTL quoting webinar.
All right, and again, this is just a part of what we're doing here with this whole training series that we have, if you will, for the short-term care. This is more of an admin type thing where I'm going to be going through. I'll probably steer most of this because there doesn't need to be that much back and forth. But Dennis, as you know, please jump in at any time you want to throughout this, and make sure you yell because I'll be on a roll as always. But for you agents out there, and especially if you're doing Medicare, remember to jump on our other webinars. Go to your person who invited you to this webinar and find out some of the other webinars we have that are not only product training and this admin, like today, how to do the eApp, which is important because ultimately you need to fulfill that side of it, which is real easy, just like everything else. But the big thing is the training. We really want to show you how to go out and show you how easy it is to do what you do every day. Keep your blinders on, sell your med sup, sell your MAs, sell your life policies, or whatever you might be selling to your clients every day. But one thing you're going to hear over and over again is we're really passionate about this. This is a need for people. There's 70% of the folks over 65 are going to need some type of extended care. And you're in that situation where you can help so many people because most people don't ever have the opportunity to have the conversations. So real quickly, the best ability of any of these plans, is the availability. So we have in our portfolio for Integrity, we highlight 6 products mainly, and we'll add more as they're necessary and as they become available. But for the full short-term comprehensive, we have GTL, Omniflex, and Wellaby. You can see there. Today, we're going to talk about the GTL Recover Cash. GTL's been a pioneer in this industry for a long time, and they're in a lot of states, so we can go out there and throw the net wide with GTL, and it has obviously more states than the other products. So there's going to be times GTL is going to be the obvious go-to for you. And on the flip side, we do have the home health care only plan, and GTL's got a great, literally the industry standard, I think you'd say, right, Dennis? With GTL Home Care, it's a very solid plan. It was the one that started. Manhattan Life has a great policy now that's very similar to the GTL and stronger in some areas, et cetera. So you just kind of look at these products and listen to our product training when we do the home health care only plans. True Freedom's a big plus that I'm not going to get into today because of time. But we do have products available for you in all 50 states to cover pretty much anything you might need for any of these different folks out there. And that's one of the nice things that we throw the net wide underwriting wise, and we throw the net wide as far as availability. So that's where you can feel comfortable as an agent that you have something to help people with. And when we get into doing any type of quotes, and again, this isn't really a training session on the need for long-term care, but one of the things you'll hear in any of our sales training, and I think Dennis will certainly agree with me, is that, there are different costs in different areas of the country, as you may well imagine, and it can be really expensive. And short-term cares can be very robust or very flexible. So what we're going to train you and teach you as you go through is that, number one, even though you can see some estimated costs overall across the country, $100,000 a year for facility plus, and then the home care down there that can vary from the home health aid up to some of the more expensive nursing care, et cetera. It is expensive. And it is, there's stats out there talking about the number of bankruptcies in America that are caused directly by these type of things because people didn't plan ahead. So you can be a hero for your clients. And when you get into other training, we'll talk more about those other things. And I'm zooming through this really quickly because I want to get in and obviously show you how to do a quote for GTL like we talked about as the subject matter today. So Dennis, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add to that, but I'm gonna go over so you can fill while I go to the next area, if that's okay.
Yeah, no, perfect, Tom. I think it's always good to have the foundation, especially because if you are going to be quoting, understanding the cost of care, and what's sometimes one of the things agents do mistakenly is they think that they have to, transfer 100% of that risk, and so they're always quoting maybe what the real cost of care is, and actually, as Tom talked about availability, budget comes into play very much to make sure that, you're not quoting something that is not attainable for that client. So the system that GTL has is really easy, and Tom's already on the site here, and he's going to basically walk us through how to actually do the quote. It's a simple process, but it's an important process that you actually make sure, because you don't want to be frustrated trying to get a quote done and not having actually understood how actually to do it.
Thanks, Dan. And again, what you saw me flipping around here in the background, that was just a password manager that I have. So when you get appointed with GTL, which I hope you'll do and take that first step if you're not already appointed, is get a hold of the person who got you on the webinar, get a hold of that marketer, and get set up with GTL. Once you do, you'll have access to their they have a really nice website behind the scenes. I just logged in, and the first thing I saw, this is my Master Sales Training Corporation, and you'll see your name up here as an agent or agency, and then you'll see quote and submit. That's what we're going to work on today. But then there's a review and resume where I can go back and see previous unfinished applications, fill the gaps, the GTL link where I can get all my download supplies, Turbo Term if you're selling life insurance, training webinars, GTL QuickCast, and other products. They do have a 24 accident and a critical cash product down here that you quote that isn't set up on their regular quoting. So again, I'm going through this quickly. We'll have this recorded as a backup for you. My usual disclaimer, drinking out of a fire hose first time you see this stuff, and hopefully it works smoothly. Sometimes when you're doing webinars, you get little glitches when you're trying to do a webinar and you're on a live website. But I thought this would be better than doing a screen fill, or screenshots, etc., because I wanted to be live and show you just how easy this is. So once you use our sales information, that Dennis does a great job of showing you how easy it can be. If you wanted to start out and start giving quotes, and again, sometimes I can't chew gum and type at the same time, so Dennis, feel free to fill if I ever get to the point where I'm struggling. But I put in Betty Prospect. She's female. I'm going to put Betty down as we'll use a 65-year-old. How's that sound? So I'm going to put her down at 020219. What is we talking? 58 for that? Does that sound right?
Well, that's correct.
All right, so I've got Betty in there. I'm going to add a spouse just because I want to show you some of the differences with the plan design, and maybe I'll show one that's pretty extreme and one that's a real lower. And you wouldn't necessarily do that for mom and dad. Sometimes you do because dad says, "Oh, I'm going to die early. I don't want to mess with this." But in this case, I'm going to do it more just to show you how flexible these products can be and how big a difference you can have in the different premiums. So I put in Joe Prospect there as a husband, and I'm going to go with an issue state of Alabama to keep it simple. And I'll go next. And if you make a mistake, this is very intuitive, and you probably catch me here because I'm doing a webinar and trying to do 3 things at once. But if you make a mistake, it'll go back and highlight it and say, "Hey, what are you trying to pull on me?" So as you can see here, I've got Betty Prospect 65 and I've got Joe Prospect 65. Looks a lot like maybe a Medicare prospect or client you might have. I'll leave it on monthly, but I could switch the mode. And then you'll see it'll give you, and this is one of those sites that don't forget about the sliding bars, okay? Here's my main sliding bar. I know that's a little nauseating. There's the main sliding bar, but you'll go down here and some agents will think, well, it stopped there. I couldn't see anything else. But remember, there's a sliding bar inside here too. So remember that as you're doing these quotes, because sometimes it can be a little disorientating. So when I'm in here now, I can pick any of these different products. Today, I'm going to do the short-term home health care or the recover cash. And this is the recover cash is the full-blown short-term care plan, and the short-term home health care is their home health care only plan that we talk about as part of our series. So I'm going to start with a bigger one. This is a full-blown short-term care, and you can see here down here I can save, print, or apply. So first I'm going to click recover cash. That's their short-term care plan. And then when I get into the recover cash, it's going to say, all right, do I want to add a spouse? I already put that in, but they do want to just see if you want it side by side on the same app. So I'm going to go ahead and just click add spouse again. Then it will have a height and weight chart. It's very liberal, and I could show you that chart, and I have it probably open somewhere on here. But I'm going to show you something that's kind of unique that you're going to see. Let's say mom is 5'4". Okay, and I can use the drop downs or whatever I want to do. Let's say dad. I think I put dad second. Remember, I can go plus or minus here, right? So I can go 6 foot. I'll have dad be a 6'1" dude. Okay, now if I put height right here, this is one of those areas that's kind of nice. If I put in the height and I try to go to the next screen, it's going to say this doesn't work. She can't be 12 pounds. Okay, so it does catch you there and say you made a mistake or you're outside the realm of what we can do for the height and weight right in there, right in the system. So that's kind of nice. I'm just going to put 120, 220 there. And then tobacco, I'm going to put no. These are not knockouts. Obviously, you're just going to get a premium load if you have tobacco. It's about 10%, I believe, with GTL. And Dennis, if I ever misspeak, make sure you jump in. This time with mom and dad, it's unisex rates, you guys, so I could design 2 identical plans. But with this one, I'm going to do a 360-day plan for mom, and I'm going to do a 360-day, no, I'm going to do a 90-day plan for dad, okay? This is just going to show some of the extreme differences in the rates, okay? So for mom, I'm actually going to go first day coverage across the board. Some people go 20 on the facility, but I'm going to go first day on this one. I'm going to go 20 days on this one just to keep my premiums low to show you an extreme example. And I'm actually going to go compound inflation. Remember our plan design if you're on one of those webinars? Excuse me? If you're on one of those webinars, we did a compound because this is the only product we have in our portfolio that has compound inflation. So I put that on here just to show a difference. I'm going to go none over here. Again, this is mom and dad side by side. It'll ask again, is the spouse applying? So they're really covering your butt there to make sure we know if the spouse is applying or not. So I'm going to say yes. And then for my daily benefit for this one, I'm going to load it up with $300 per day. But over here, I'm going to give, and I'm not going to be ridiculous and go too low, but I'm going to do a $100 a day plan if that's okay. So got $100 a day. The inflation I've already covered up top, so it's grayed out. So 5% compound and no inflation over here, okay? With the maximum benefit for the home care rider, now this is if I want to add the home care, I'm going to go 52 weeks there. And I'll do 52 weeks here because home care is important. But with this one over here, I'm going to go first day coverage on both. And again, this is a pretty good plan design because even though I'm going a little bit lower amounts, I want to make sure that we do a good job with covering them. So in this one, I'm going to load up my home care. And remember the way this works is a home care weekly benefit. So $1,400 per week, which is obviously $200 a day per average, as long as you have 3 days of coverage. And again, I could open up the brochure and walk through that, but I decided we'd go right into the quoting just to make sure we had enough time to cover everything that we absolutely needed to cover. Okay. So for this one over here on the home care, I'm going to do $100. Not $100. Let's do what do you think, Dennis? $1,200. That's pretty high. Let's go.
Yeah, 1,200 I think is
1,200. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, 1,200 here. These have an ongoing policy fee of $2.10 a month. Okay, so about $25 a year. And now I think I got it covered, and it'll catch me if I didn't, but I'm going to say get a quote. And it's going to chew on it for a little bit. And this is where you're going to get a little delay. Now, all of a sudden, I'm looking at it going, oh my gosh, what did it do? Did it do nothing? I didn't get a pop-up box, but it did do something. See, if I scroll up here, it'll show the breakdown for each thing for each area, okay? So for this one, you can see it's broken it down, and if you go all the way up here, it's going to say, I've got applicant one, $323 a month. So that one, you know, it's pretty expensive, $3,800 a year, but it is showing that that's a loaded plan. And then for applicant two, we've got $59.95. Okay, $59.95. So $382.99 total. And I'm going to show you that we can break this out in an illustration pretty easy too. But this is my little cheat bar right here to get an idea of how much we're talking. So again, would I sell this to most couples? Probably not. I loaded this one up big time with compound inflation and scaled down the other one. But I could show you there that $59.95 is not that bad of a plan. It's got a really nice home care benefit in it. Okay. And it's got the facility as well, but a smaller facility. So now I can go down here and I can reset the fields. I can deselect the product. I can get the quote, which I already did. But if I keep rolling down, and this is some areas that agents get lost first time they're on here, remember what I said about my slide bars. If you feel confused at any time and you don't want to look silly in front of your client, remember, check both slide bars because chances are there it is. Okay, so I can save this, and if I go there, it's going to say, hey, trust me, I saved it. So if I ever want to come back to it, it's there. And then now it's going to go back because now it saved it, and it gives me that little jump there. Now I'm going to go back down here. Here's my same quote. Everything's fine. It just knocked me up to the top. And now I'm going to go back down here, and I'm going to try to print it. Okay, and this takes a second, but if I print it, it's going to give me the ability to print it out on my printer that I have hooked up to my computer, or I can do a PDF. But you can see here what it's going to look like. And right here is the print quote. I haven't pushed that yet, so it's showing me a preview. A lot of you might stop at the preview stage if you're doing the screen share. Excuse me, tough for me to say. But here's Betty and Joe. Here's your information will be here, that it's prepared by you. Your name will be there, obviously. And then it shows applicant one, the daily benefit amount for the facility is $300, $360 with 0 days. And the spousal discount is $122.25. Okay. Then it shows me the inflation rider separately, $146.74 for the inflation portion of this. Okay. Remember, it inflates on the facility side only with this plan. Below that, it has the home health care and a really nice home care. Remember, $1,400 a week for 52 weeks, full year, first day coverage, $51, $52 averaged out, and the policy fee of $210. Okay. Then it goes down and shows applicant two, because you're selling two people. It figures they don't care how much it is for either one of them. They can do the math on their calculator, but together the total premium is $383. Okay, $382.99. Pretty easy stuff right there. Okay, so now if I do click print quote, I'm not going to print this one, and I think I have one that's there. We go.
Hey, Tom.
And obviously,
Hey, Tom.
it prints up. Go ahead, Dennis, please.
Yeah, I just want to come back to that inflation for a quick second, because obviously you're doing this to show just the capabilities of the product. But I do want to point out that 5% compound, although that 146 seems like a lot of money, relative to what that would cost if that happened to be traditional long-term care on a 5% compound, it would be cost prohibitive. So just keep in mind that maybe if you're looking at trying to solve, as Tom said, you might say, well, gee, maybe if I would have backed off a little bit on my daily benefit, or maybe I could have went to simple inflation. But it's a really good example here where you can see a la carte what each of those costs are. So it helps you to maybe keep in mind what that client's budget is as well. If there's anything that you have to modify, it's very easy to modify off of this by being able to see everything a la carte.
Perfect. Yep, absolutely. Thank you. Perfect point on that. And that is one of the things some agents actually bum out and they say, well, why do they break it apart? I just want to know how much it is for the full thing. But that Dennis hit right on it. That's exactly why I'm sure the method behind the madness of breaking them apart on here is that you can quickly pivot and say, what without inflation, I know it's going to be 122.51. Okay. So there's a 382. Now remember, use my scroll bar. There it is down here. I can either print that out and it'll allow me to do a PDF if I want. That's one of my favorite ways to do it. And I'm not going to do it right here, but if I do print it out, it'll ask me to save it under a name, and then I could go to it and show you that it prints out just like it looked there on the screen. Okay. Otherwise, you can print it hard copy if you wanted to. One of the nice things here is I can email the quote, and I can email the quote with an outline and brochure. Okay. If I do the email quote, I don't think I dare click it because I don't want to screw up our webinar, but I did it as a test, obviously, earlier, because I don't do a lot of these quotes myself anymore. But if you email a quote, it's really nice. It works right in your system and allows you to go in and type it out to who you want it to. If you do an email quote with outline and brochure, it's pretty handy. Dennis, I sent you a sample of one of these this morning just to make sure I was on the same page. And it basically comes from GTL, and it shows here's a link to the quote and here's an outline and brochure as well. So again, you wanted to lose sales fast, go out there and just say, hey, we should talk about short-term care. I'm going to send you a quote. And if you send it to them without doing any of the needs and talking to the person, you're going to be just whistling up empty trees all the time. But if you do follow our ways to go through and sell people, this might be a great way after you've had a conversation with them to go in and do a quote and then say, I'm going to email it over with an outline and brochure. Okay. I don't think we need to click these today because I want to show you how we fill out the app. So
the
now
other way, Tom, just jumping in real quick, the other way is just in advance of that client. If you know, because this is a longtime client of yours and you know you want to bring up the short-term care conversation, then doing the work in advance and having that in your, to be able to show them would be great as well. So you can do it on the front end, you can do it on the back end. It all depends on, again, if maybe today, if you're just teeing up the conversation or if you're actually having the conversation, some preparation. It really does come down to preparation and making sure that, you may not know everything about their health, but if you But if you've worked with them in the past, you may know some of the budget requirements, and you may also know, again, certainly their ages and everything else, so that there's some of the easy information you need to have to move forward.
Right, exactly. And you could save it in there like I showed you. So you could do it online and save it if you'd like, and come back to it when you talk to the client and find it after the fact. So now remember, I clicked create quote earlier, so that's why I have to click back here. And if everything works smoothly, it should bring me back to the point where I can easily start the application. So now it's showing me that I have Betty and Joe up still, and it's showing me that I decided to go monthly, and it shows recover cash is filled in. Okay, and there's everything we talked about earlier. So now I'm going to use my same scroll down here, and I'm going to go click apply. Okay, so now if I want a quick quote, like Dennis said, I just did it. So I have that there, and I can save my quick quote and stop there. But if I'm going to go all the way in and apply, then it's going to go bring me to this screen, and it's going to show there's Betty, here's recover cash, the product we're doing, here's Joe, here's the product we're doing. Now I could go in there and edit the quote information or edit the general information if I needed to, but I can go in here and start the process. Okay, so first thing it's going to ask me is deliver documents to, and I'm going to say the agent, or you can do the insured. Okay, now I'm going through my autofills trying to help me out here. Remember, both scroll bars come in handy, and I can go over here to agent, and you can see Betty's already filled in. I will need to have a social security number. Occupation, I don't think it's going to matter as much, but it'll want me to put something there. Okay, so I need to have social security number, and again, doesn't matter what I put in, but in this case, I wanted to show you they don't use dashes. You'll run out of room. So I'm going to backspace there, and I'm going to put 417. Let's see what I have to put here. You know, it's funny, when I was trying this earlier, it flagged it as give me a real social, which was kind of weird. So usually you can throw in any numbers when you're doing samples like this, but they have a little bit of a backup to make sure you're not playing games with them. So there might be a time it might call me out here. I don't know for sure. That it'll say that I didn't use a valid ID or social security number. So I put that in. I do need to fill in all these things to go on. Again, I don't do a very good job typing like some people in our office. I'm even going to put Birmingham, because I think that's what my zip code fit for. 36117. And a phone number. I know it'll ask for valid phone numbers too, believe it or not. 205 456 1234. Applicant 24 number. We'll go 205 456 4567. And email addresses, I'm just going to put in, they won't do it, but you type in the email addresses there if you wanted to. I just did this to speed it up. Okay. And the applicant primary beneficiary for health products. This one again, we put Betty first, so I'll put in Joe. This is going to be for unearned premiums, and if you had a return of premium in there, you would need this information. So I just put it in there now, since it's not that hard to do. They could obviously put somebody else in here if they wanted to. And then I push save and continue, and if it doesn't give me a red flag, I did okay there. So basically, what if I would have had something missing, like skip the social, it would have went up and I would have saw a red print there saying, hey, do this right, buddy, stop messing around. Okay, probably doesn't say stop messing around, but you know what I mean. Now the next area I go to, it automatically sends me over to the underwriting questions. Now the underwriting questions, just like you'd expect them to be, is very similar to what you see on the actual application. I just switched over to the application over here, and you can see there, here's my benefit designs. And when you get to the medical, it'll say if you answer yes to any part of 1 through 4, then you're not eligible for coverage. So GTL's recover cash, very straightforward. The 4 questions, they stretch out a little bit here, but it's the exact same questions as you'd see on the paper app. So if you were pre-screening somebody, if you wanted to do it that way, you could take out a paper app. We'll have it available on the site for you that I'll show you later. But otherwise, you can do the eApp, and it's going to be the same exact questions. So for speed's sake, obviously, I'm not going to go through here and ask all these. These are the same questions I just showed you in the application. So Dennis, jump in if you need to. But again, we're not going to do product training, so I don't think we want to spend time with health initiatives. We have the pivot tool, etc., that we have available for you. So I'm just going to click no on all these. Obviously, with your clients, you're going to be talking them through each one of these and say, want to make sure we're safe and not making any mistakes. And you can see there, it seems like a lot, but again, these are short little statements that it doesn't take long at all to go through. Oops, I guess. Okay, here's the med list. So in this case, I'll put yes, they both taken medications. I was zooming through. This is question 5, so it's not a knockout, right? Has any of the proposed taken any prescription meds? Then if you do the prescription meds, all it's saying here is saying, well, Betty is the one who takes one of the things. I'll just throw in something that I know for sure wouldn't be a problem. Let's do metoprolol. I believe I spelled that right. Oh, spelled it wrong because of the T, no big deal. It wouldn't call me out on this stuff because it wouldn't say that's not a real drug. But I'm going to just go in ER 50 milligrams. And then it'll ask for the reason to do that. And this is going to just be high blood pressure. And then it does ask for the name and address of the doctor. And I'll tell you what, they don't give you a lot of room here. So just put in whatever you can. Dr. Jim Smith, and he's in Birmingham, because they don't allow you to keep typing here. See right there, I stopped. So that just shows you that they're just mainly looking to say, I want to make sure it's a real one that's from a doctor. And if I have more than one med, I click on that and there's an easy way to put in Joe. Make sense? This is really simple, simple stuff. And if you have any underwriting questions, we're trying to do train the trainer. So you can ask the agency to put you on this call, or our Goldencare team obviously is here to help as well. But if I can spell cholesterol, I'll put cholesterol in there. And that Dr. Bob. And again, doesn't give you enough room on here. So obviously that means that they're not too worried about that part of it. They'll find out later. They're mainly worried about the meds, and they'll do a med check. And then it goes down next, says, will any existing supplemental health insurance, do you have any of that you're going to replace? I'm going to say no. If you do, you have to put in here that you do have it available and type it in. And then secondary addressee, this is just somebody to let you know if you don't pay your lapses, don't pay your bills on time. So again, we're going to leave it empty, but you should put that in there. It's really good for your clients to have somebody like a relative or somebody that they know will check their oil if they stop paying their premiums so it doesn't lapse. And I'm going to put save and continue and see if I did it okay where it lets me buy. Again, if it didn't let me through that stage, then it would have stopped me and said, hold the buckets. We got to get something right. Okay. So now I'm on this. Look at how easy this is. This again, I could pull the app back up and show you this is the same verbiage as on the paper app. Again, use both slide bars if you need to, if you're sharing your screen, so it's easier to read through. This is something that a lot of your clients are used to. You can ask them, how long do you want me to spend some time reading this to you or not? It's up to you. Then you get into the applicant signatures. Okay. And for this area, I obviously don't want to apply for poor Joe and Betty in this case, but I do want you to know it's very easy for you to split commissions on here. It's very easy for you to go in and get these signatures. And I think I can show it, Dennis. I'm going to try to show here's where it shows on the eApp. They're leading the industry as far as simplicity, as far as electronic signatures go. They've done a really good job at GTL. And Dennis, I'm going to let you handle this part. I don't know for sure if you have more information or if we can just go with this for today.
Well, Tom, what I like about GTL is that a lot of our agents that may be on this call and just in general might still be old school. They might like that paper app that you talked about, and they may want to just do it old school and mail it in. They may want to fax it in. They may want to email it in. So all three of those are acceptable. In addition to that, of course, you've got the text to sign. According to GTL, text to sign is really becoming one of the most popular ways because it's so easy. People are so used to getting texts that they can just text to sign. And also the voice verification, where they call a separate number. And we're going to have, and we'll provide a link on our short-term care site that we have available to all of you on this call, that you'll be able to go and see actual recordings so that you could go back and revisit that too, just to make sure that you understand how actually to do that if you're going to use that eApp process and not the paper app process.
Okay, thanks, Dennis. And while Dennis was talking there, I was just backing up because what I'm going to try to do is go back and show you some of the other products on here. So I'm going to go back down to the bottom here. And again, you're not going to be doing this very often, if ever, with your client. I'm doing it today as training. I'm going to deselect that product. And then I just want to open up the short-term home health care. Obviously, it kept my prospect in here, and this will save time for training. If you started from scratch, you just do the same steps we already did, except instead of clicking recover cash, you'd click short-term home care. And by the way, when we get into advanced training, there's times you might sell both to the same clients. And in that case, you'd leave them both on there and you'd leave them both filled out. But I deselected the short-term home care, or excuse me, the short-term recovery cash. Now I'm in the short-term home care only plan. And I just want to show you real quick in the last few minutes here how simple this is to do. So I have Joe and Betty, I think I put in there. And then it just asks, what do you want to select? So remember how the home health care works, ABC. And again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but I will show you. These plans are very simple. If you go into the plan here, you'll see there's a plan A, a plan B, and a C right in the brochure. Plan A is $150 total coverage per day, broken down to these separate types of services. Okay, $300 for plan B, $450 for plan C. So pretty nice, robust plan C. Plan B is actually their best seller, but it doesn't matter today. I'm just going to show you how to quote. There's the home health care aid benefit, 40, 80, or 120, depending on the plan you choose. And then they have that nice prescription drug rebate. Remember, $300 right off the bat. You don't have to be on claim. It'll give you $300 back per year based on 10 per prescription. So we talk a lot about that in our training. Most people have a lot of prescriptions, so a lot of people will take advantage of this $300 for sure. And if I do plan C, it's up to $900 per year. So very, very big time. A lot of people won't get the full $900, but some people will, because some people have that whole shoebox full of meds. That being said, I'm going to go back, Dennis. Jump in anytime if you want. I'm just trying to zoom through. Nice part about this one is it shows you right away how much it costs. So if I did plan A for Joe, I think I had Betty first. You can see the difference in the cost for the same age. These are unisex rates as well. $71 to $23, right? So different riders on here. Again, in the brochure, you can see all these different riders and the costs of each. But I'll do an ambulance rider for each of them because it's nice to have that. And they're very inexpensive. As you can see, $3 a piece. So very, very inexpensive rider. They also have a hospital rider that's great. If you know anything about GTL, they have one of the best HI plans out there. This is a rider in the plan for a hospital indemnity. And then there's a hospital sickness rider. And again, all these are drop down, easy stuff to do. So if you want these riders, for time's sake today, to keep it relatively short, I'm not going to get into all this. But you know, everybody likes dental and vision. Tell you what, you can throw a $1,200 plan on either one of these. Even a plan A, you can still get up to $1,200 dental and vision. So check that out. It's a nice D&V rider. And they even have a return premium rider if you wanted to. So again, as you select these, you can see how much they're costing, but that's how easy that is to do. And if I take this and reselect and I go up, and it's going to show for this thing that we set up, it's $75.59 for applicant A and $27.62, so about $103. Okay, how do I see more? I go all the way down here. I can save it. I can print it. I'm going to click print just because it'll show you a little print preview. And then I go in here and I see how easy this plan is. Again, it breaks it down, just like Dennis said before, by different asset that we bought, and it shows you the exact prices and the total premium for the month. Dennis, anything to add on that? I'm going to go show the application and show the health from there.
Tom, while you're going to the application, just a couple things on the riders. Just keep in mind, once again, we said this at the very start. With the home care, you don't worry as much about underwriting because it really, Tom's going to take us to the application and show that how easy it is. But you do want to make sure you're looking at state availability and also making sure that you're looking at the issue ages. Remember, some of you who may have sold GTL short-term home care way back in the day, their issue age used to be 40 to 85. Now it's 61 to 85. So if you're working with a client that's 59 or 60, remember, they're not going to be a GTL candidate. And back to those riders, that ambulance rider is probably the most popular. About half all the business that comes through has an ambulance rider. The other ones are maybe nice to have, but maybe not have to have. And so remember, like anything else, as you start adding up those riders, it all becomes real premium. So keep that in mind. But you can see when Tom showed the examples of A versus C, just how flexible. And keep in mind one last thing, that these are age banded. So they're in 5-year age ramp up: 61 to 64, 65 to 69, 70 to 74, 75 to 79, 80 to 84, and then age 85. So just keep that in mind. And there may be some state specific differences on those riders that where Tom is talking about you may be all excited about adding the dental rider, and it may not be available in the state that you're doing business in. So keep that in mind as well.
Very good. And the rate book is real easy to use if you're old fashioned and want to use that hard copy rate book. More power to you. They're easy and they have worksheets in there that are real easy to do. This is the actual application for the home care. And just want to show you, this is how easy, when I talk about throwing the net wide. And we have on our other training, our InstaPivot tool that'll do all this work for you if you want. And I'll show you that on the site as we close up here in a minute or two. But I do want to show you, here's the questions that'll show up on the eApp, just like it did on the full-blown plan, but there were more questions. You're going to see here, it's only going to ask these 3 knockout questions. Are you currently living in a nursing home or assisted living or receiving home care right now? The second one is, does the applicant require assistance with activities of daily living? And it lists out those activities. And then in the past 12 months, have you had or been diagnosed or received treatment for having Alzheimer's, dementia, or memory loss? So those are the knockouts. They're basically just those couple knockouts. And then if you have plan C, which we did for Betty, it does ask one more, which is kind of rare, just making sure you're not waiting to go in for surgery or something. It says in the next 60 calendar days, are you scheduled for anticipating to need home health care or surgery or go to a hospital or nursing home? So those are pretty rare circumstances, just covering for fraud more than anything for the carrier. And that's how easy it is. If you answer no to all those, you're set, and you can go ahead and it'll let you submit that application. So with that, I'm going to go to, I think, to our site, Dennis, and feel free if you want me to jump somewhere else. You know, I've got several things open, as you can see, but if you go on our site, all this stuff is there for you. And here's Recover Cash, for example. And you can see here, it gives state availability. It'll have all the different things you need, and it'll have a link to go right to the quoting or eApp down here with the enrollment resources and marketing materials, et cetera. So check that out on the site. It's the integritystc.com site for you. So you'll be able to see not only that, but also if I go back, there's all the products on here for the full short-term care plans. We're talking today about GTL. And then below here, you'll see the home health care only plans, and there's the GTL home care that we just quoted. So super easy to use the apps. All the products and all the companies are real easy to use. And if you go in here to the sales and marketing materials, there's this InstaPivot tool that you can learn about if you go to our other webinars and our recorded training. And we have lots of sales and marketing materials as well to help you out with your clients. So Dennis, I don't know if you've had anything else you need to add there, or if we should just go ahead and finish up with that, or you let me know.
Tom, I think, we'll be having the eApp process and the quoting process with the other products as well, and each have a little bit of nuanced differences. But the key is that GTL, like all the carriers, they try to make it easy for you to do business. And what I like best about GTL when it comes to the quoting is that the quoting and enrolling is that you can have those options either to do it old school or to do it with the new technology today with texting or the voice authorization. But as you showed everything today in terms of how easy it is to do the plan, I would just remind everyone again, don't go into this unprepared. Make sure that if you plan on bringing it up during the course of your conversation at the end of a Medicare call or end of a review, just do a little homework in advance. And I think you'll be very pleased. And that way you don't basically are not just talking to the client about a concept, you're actually giving them, kind of the real numbers. So to make sure that you know what their budget is, and also in advance, if you know some of the underwriting aspects, as Tom said, it was so easy to navigate through that site. And hopefully you've enjoyed just being able to see not only how to do this with Recover Cash, but how to do it with the other GTL product, the short-term home care as well.
You bet. You bet. That being said, perfect ending there, Dennis. I appreciate it. And for those of you who take the next step, make sure you contact the marketer who got you on this webinar. And really, we have some train the trainer things, and we have ways that we're going to hopefully help that marketer be as successful as possible helping you. And the next step is up to you, because there are a lot of Americans with gray hair out there are waiting for solutions, and we're counting on agents like you to go out and help them out. And not only do that, but make some great commission dollars in the process, and also keep that persistency up there with your client retention, et cetera, by having multiple products. So this is Tom Randall from Goldencare with my friend and partner, Dennis Reiner. And I want to thank you very much for taking your time to jump on today. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Bye for now.
The next step is yours. Contact your marketer for more information and to start offering short-term care solutions to your clients. And be sure to sign up for our other short-term care hot topic webinars.